This is my third attempt to try to make a video on the Lord's birthday. The Lord was born on Chanukah 4 BC. There's a link called passplot.htm with all the Bible documentation in there. There are about 11 different chapters in the Bible that you need to look at in order to find out all this information. Because the Lord's birthday and his death date were central to all the Bible. Because everything hinged on when he was going to be born and die. Duh. Okay? But do the scholars actually know when he was born and died? No, they debate it as if it were debatable. It's not debatable. It's just that they're bad scholars and they didn't do their homework. Now, if you look in passplot.htm, you will find more Bible documentation than you want. If you're interested to know, then you can go look there. And it will take you, at least a month to vet what I say in there. Because it took me 2 years to research it. Now, why did I do that? I did that because suddenly my pastor came out and said that the Lord was born on Hanukkah 4 BC, but his brain was going. God was taking his brain out at that time with Alzheimer's, or, he just had the natural disease. I don't know which it was, because it would have been a test to take it out anyway. So he didn't have time to document it. So I spent 2 years looking for it in the Bible, and I found it. The birthday is in Haggai 2. The birth year starts being tracked in Genesis 5, and that's where you get all the begats, and that leads to Abraham. And Moses, in Psalm 90, tracks time from Adam through Christ via the Bible Hebrew meter, which the scholars don't even know exists yet. Moses is accounting time sabbatically. I cover that in my Psalm 90 playlist, so you'll have to go through all that to see it. Isaiah 53 is another chapter that picks up on the chronology and updates the chronology that Moses follows in his Hebrew meter of Psalm 90. Isaiah 53 keys off that meter and apes it with his own meter, and you'll have to look at my Isaiah 53 meter hypothesis 4 videos, the most important two of which begin the Psalm 90 playlist. So just look at the Psalm 90 playlist videos. And all that is covered in BibleHebrewMeter.htm. Now, another important chapter on this is 2 Samuel 7, which is a promise of Messiah to David, promise of temple house, and promise of progeny house. God is always very witty. Okay, 2 Samuel 7 is updated in Haggai 2 because Zeru means seed, and that's a play on Isaiah 53:10 where Zerah is used. So the Lord, as God, is telling Zerubbabel, a human being, to start rebuilding on the temple foundation, which was laid on 24 Chislev. 25 Chislev is Hanukkah. 24 Chislev of 537 BC, then he didn't do anything for all those years, so now it's 522 BC when Haggai 2 occurs, and he's saying, start building from this day on. I've put my seal on you. That's telling Zerubbabel that he's the seed of Christ. You get it? It's very clever. The foundation of the temple, the foundation of Christ, 2 Samuel 7. And then, of course, you got the first foundation of the first temple, of which David is the foundation. 1 David, 2 David, okay? In 1 Kings 6:1, which the scholars also misread. Just like they don't know that God only uses solar years in the Bible because he accounts by birthdays. The flood is accounted in terms of how old and on what year and month of Noah's birthday it was. Okay, so Haggai 2, 24 Chislev, twice hypostatic union. Okay, 25 Chislev is piggybacked on 24 Chislev because the Jewish day begins at sundown on the same day as the solar day. 25 Chislev, 357 years after Haggai 2, is Hanukkah, when they throw out Antiochus IV Epiphanes and rededicate the temple. Chanuk means to dedicate. Enoch in Genesis 5 is really Chanuk, dedicated, devoted. Okay, they rededicate the temple. And where does the Lord go to live after he's born on the dedication date of the temple in 25 Chislev, which is roughly December 25th in some years, 4 BC. Forecast as 4 BC ever since David died. 1,000 years after David died was the death deadline for Christ. So he had to have 40 years, just like David had 40 years ruling, so he had to be born 4 BC. I go through all that in pastlife.htm. Okay, so the Lord is born on 25 Chislev, dedicated on the dedication day of the temple. And where does he go to live after he's born in Bethlehem? Nazareth. And what do you think Nazareth means? Dedication. Look it up in number 6, the Nazarite vow, where you dedicate your time to God until you cut your hair. Okay? So, you see, you got that wordplay. And then the next little marker, I'm just sort of giving you a quick summary of what's already in the webpage, is that in Luke 1:26, 2 Greek articles are used to tell you the date, which means it's the official month of the year, not Elizabeth's 6th month of pregnancy that is being talked about. It also happens to be her 6th month of pregnancy because John the Baptist is going to be 6 months older than Christ, but it's the 6th month on the calendar, which is Adar, because the Jewish civil year begins with Itanim. I think they call it Tishri now. All right? And 6 months after that is Adar, which is roughly our end of February when Purim occurs. Purim is halfway in the month. Okay? You get that? 9 months after Adar is Chislev. Chislev ends roughly our December 15th. Okay? So, Hanukkah and Christmas, because the Jews don't keep the calendar right anymore, Hanukkah and Christmas overlap in some years. Today is supposed to be, according to the Jewish calendar, Hanukkah, the beginning. So you could celebrate today as the Lord's birthday. But you'll notice that in some years, Hanukkah and Christmas coincide because the Jews don't keep the calendar right. Well, guess what? They didn't keep the calendar right in 4 BC either. So the Saturnalia festival, which was December 25th of the Julian year, of course, our calendar is not like the Julian calendar anymore, coincided with Hanukkah because they weren't keeping the calendar right then either. Ta-da! So the Feast of Dedication, which is Hanukkah, that's why there was no room at the end, because it's the busiest holiday of the year. It's like, they're July 4th. Well, they were busy with Hanukkah. All right? Everybody went to Jerusalem at Hanukkah because it's about the temple. Get it? That's why Luke reads as it does. Okay? Anyway, there's more to say, but I thought I'd at least let you know the Lord was born on Hanukkah, 4 BC. You can prove it in the Bible. So, ho, 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 happy Hanukkah Christmas. That's the same.